Halloween
Forever.
I got one for you. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. What did Charmander say to Pikachu after seeing him surf?
Narmander? I don't know.
He just said Charmander because that's all he says. That's what the Pokemon do. They just say their names like that. Welcome, boys and girls, to a totally tubular minisode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
Oh, I'm Steve.
Oh, dude, bro. Yeah, you overthought that one. He's just gonna say Charmander. That's all he ever says.
It was there in my brain, but I was like, Brian doesn't do the anti-jokes. I do the anti-jokes on the 90s is Forever exclusive Patreon pod.
Nope. Today, did a little flipperoonie on you. Just really digging deep into the bag of tricks. I'll be completely honest with you. I am, very tired. Been up since 4:30 in the morning. Did a lot of driving today. Was gone all day long. Like 13, 14 hour day. Then on the way home, because I was very hungry and on the turnpike, I stopped and had Sbarro at which is just that's what was available. So that's what your boy had for lunch. Not feeling that good in the tummy region. And then I just poured this here just gloopy hazy IPA that I'm now dumping on top of that. So I am in a bad way.
Enjoy your diarrhea.
Yeah. So if I get a little squirty mid-show and I run out of the room, you know why that's the case. But not quite yet. Still feeling all right. Holding on to it, at least for a little bit longer. Why so tubular? Why so radical? Well, we're going to be doing a little old-fashioned punishment episode, although I don't think it was much of a punishment. I had originally quite a punishment episode lined up because, spoiler alert, your boy took home that son of a bitch in championship strap for July, and I had a movie queued up, which I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm still going to hold on to it. And if I really need to stick it to you at some point, I might put it on there because it is unpleasant to watch and very bizarre and makes you feel bad. But in light of that, I said, you know what? And you know, little peek under the curtain here. We're recording this on the Thursday before it's released, released on the Monday. I got one more day of work tomorrow on the Friday, and then I'm leaving for vacation on Saturday. So I'm in a summer mood, right? I've been talking about how I want to watch some summer, gloop glop bullshit, right? I want to get into that. I want to get that vibe going as I go into vacation. So I decided to switch it up. And we're going to watch an absolute gem, which may be on some of your radars because this is, fairly well-known, I guess kind of a cult favorite, madcap horror sci-fi comedy sex romp. I don't know what you want to call it. Surf 2 from 1984. So, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got to do some shit at the top of the show. Steven, are you sipping on a beer you want to talk about that you want to admit to?
Hey, I have no shame in my game ever. Why would I ever feel bad? If I ever felt bad about something, it's because I would be drinking like Bud Light or something. I would feel shame about that.
Sure.
Or Fireball whiskey. That's ultimate shame for me.
Just doing Fireball shots by yourself.
Yeah. I would feel very shameful about that. But no, I had a little trip to the Mix of Six. And I was thinking about this episode and I saw this in the Mix of Six, and it's just a spiked iced tea, but it's called hoop tea. And it has a very kind of it has that flair of the 70s and 80s that we kind of see in this movie. So I was like, yeah, let's go with that.
I've not had the hoop tea. I think hoop tea Who makes that? Is that an ABI brand? I forget who makes Hoop Tea.
I don't know that it's an ABI brand, but it is out of Baldwinsville, New York.
Yeah, I forget who makes Hoop Tea. I think it's ABI, actually.
Could be.
I'm not 1,000%, but let's call it 80%. Sure, I think that's who makes. Anyway, have not had it. What are your thoughts?
It's too sweet. You wouldn't like it, but it's I can have one.
Yeah. It's not carbonated, right?
No, non-carbonated.
Yeah.
5% ABV. I mean, it tastes fine. It doesn't have like any weird medicinal flavors to it either.
Sure.
So it does taste like just hard tea, and you wouldn't know that it is spiked.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's just the only thing you wouldn't like about it is it's too sweet.
It's too sweet. Yeah. Probably not my cup of tea. I'm like an unsweetened. I've been drinking a lot of unsweetened tea, iced tea lately, mixing it with a little lemonade, maybe sometimes I splash a little vodka in there. I've been known to do that from time to time.
Yeah.
A little bourbon even. I'm going in another direction here. As I mentioned, on top of my Turnpike Sbarro, and I got a Stromboli too, which is like not even just a regular slice of pizza. I got a pepperoni Stromboli that had been sitting there for a minute.
I love Stromboli. I love it.
Me too.
Especially when it's good. There was just quick divergence. There was a place down in Ambridge. It was a pizza place that did a Stromboli that was like a zoo inside of a Stromboli because it was like turkey, ham, pepperoni, salami, and it may have been like meatballs in it.
That's
all
a lot.
wrapped up, and then just like a little bit of provolone cheese. It was so fucking good for just days when you didn't want to cook. Yeah, when a day you didn't want to cook, and then you wanted to just pass out on your couch full of fucking meat. Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah, a Stromboli, a calzone. I love just a rolled up, folded up, pizza situation. Like I said, this one was from a Sbarro on the PA Turnpike, so we're not talking that high end, but it got the job done. I chased it down with some sour gummy Skittles, and I'm just doing damage today. And then on top of that, I'm drinking a hazy IPA. What's the ABV on this thing here? This is a 7%er. With Citra and Motueka. It's called Majestic Mutation, which sounds somewhat appropriate for this. It sounds like that's might be what happened if you consume some Buzz Cola. This is brewed by Coven Brewing.
Oh, okay.
In Lawrenceville, in neighborhood of Pittsburgh. I will tell you, smells nice. It's very like orange, papaya, mango, juicy kind of thing. Not super dank. Not super explosive aroma, but it smells just fine. But I will say, once I got to the bottom of that can, there were some big old chunks of what appear to be yeast slurry that popped out of the bottom and are now sitting on the bottom of my glass. So I'm going to be sure to not consume those, because those mixed with all the Sbarro grease may turn into I don't know, some sort of tumor or something like that, which I'd like to avoid. So
yeah, you're begging for a doo-doo slurry.
Yeah,
adding that stuff together. Yeah,
it's unwise. And then when I came home for dinner, we had some like kind of salmon rice bowls with some bulgogi on there and stuff. So I'm just got a lot of stuff going, a lot of stuff mixing around in the old gut, just swirling around in there. But that's my fault. Nobody made me consume any of these things. In any case, before we get into just a glorious feel-good film, as far as I'm concerned, and really what I've done to myself today is reminiscent of a pretty memorable scene from this movie. Before we get into all that, we do need to spin that son of a bitch and wheel, you guys. As Steve brings up that wheel, I'll explain to you why the hell we're doing that and what this means. Like I said, I took home that son of a bitch championship strap in July every single Monday, we lay out some sticky, spicy, sweetened, fermented content on the internet every Monday. But the first Monday of every month is what's called a Showdown episode. This month, our Showdown topic was cute but creepy. And we had our friend Louie from the Haunted Hangover podcast on. How we got that topic is we got a big old spinny ass wheel with about a bajillion topics on it. We just added a bunch more. We spin it 3 times. We get 3 topics. They could be anything from subgenres to tropes to particular performers, whatever. We put it on the social medias and our friends and listeners vote. Go over to the Halloween's Forever on any of the social media pages, and you can help vote. And then once we get that topic, we pick a movie associated with that topic. I picked a little movie from the year of our Lord, 1977, that is called Zoltan, Hound of Dracula, a.k.a. Dracula's dog, for cute but creepy. Steve, remind them what you picked and ultimately lost miserably with.
I wouldn't say miserably, but
got your ass handed to you with. Is that better?
I don't accept that either.
Mopped with you.
I don't accept those terms. I don't accept those terms.
All right.
But I will say, first, I just wanted to do a little autopsy on what happened last episode.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure.
I was so fucking mad watching your movie because I'd never seen it before. Mm-hmm. And within the first 20 minutes, mm-hmm. they show that there's the little German Shepherd puppy in the box.
Puppy in a box.
And I was looking for something to fucking slam on my desk as I was watching that movie because I knew right then it was over. There was no way,
of course not,
any filmmaker worth half their fucking salt would not have turned that puppy into a vampire by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I was right.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I hadn't even finished the movie and I just knew I had just lost and I was mad. I was pissed, but I still had to do my best with Black Sheep from 2006. I still think that I'm right in all the points I've made about the sheep are cute and everything, but it's a vampire puppy. What do you do against that? What do you do against that? The only other answer is a vampire kitty. And then that becomes a subjective thing of taste.
Puppies over sheep every single time. Right. So, yeah, I mean, you got outplayed by the best. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. That's what happens. You just ran into a monster. And to make it even more fun, Louis picked Jurassic Park. Well, the time honored classic, Steven Spielberg film that got beat by Dracula's dog. And boy, howdy, did it make me happy. But dang, Dracula dogs. Hilarious, cute as hell.
The other side of this is that for having a Dracula puppy, your film also has the most dog murder I've ever seen.
Yeah. Like couple dogs die. Couple 2-3 dogs die.
They fucking stab 4 dogs at least.
Hey, sometimes when Dracula dogs start popping up, you're gonna end up with dead dogs. It's just how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But then they become undead dogs because that little puppy did get drained, but then turned into a dang Dracula dog. Cute as hell. Cute as a button. Anyway, we voted. Someone reigned supreme. That someone is me. So I got to pick this here punishment episode. Like I said, I think I was pretty lenient. I was going to go in a harsher direction, but I went in a nicer direction. That doesn't always become the case. Anyway, we're already going to start picking our showdown topics for August, believe it or not. So we're about to spin that wheel 3 times, 3 topics that in the coming weeks, you, our listeners, our soon to be, if not already, social media friends are going to go and pick what you want to hear us talk about in the wonderful month of August. Keep in mind, August is my birthday month. So do with that information what you will. All right, let's give her a spin. The picker wheel do be spinning. Okay, first pick up here, potential for August. We have apocalyptic horror. So we talking about the son of a bitch and end of the world, guys. This could be through a lot of means. This could be zombies. This could be super virus. This could be a natural disaster. This could be something paranormal. Could be a lot of things. But we're talking about goddamn end of the world. Could be robots. But apocalyptic horror. All right, let's spin that one mo again. And our second pick, best. Oh, I think we've done this before.
I believe so.
But this was a fun one.
Yeah, I believe this was a year 3 pick, and it's been since recycled back in. Now that a year has passed. So.
Best scenes in terrible movies. So we're talking about genre films, horror films that are generally overall not well received, considered bad movies, but that do have one or maybe multiple. We'll talk about one in particular, kind of saving grace scenes that are better than the rest of them. I don't remember what we talked about last time. I want to say, did somebody talk about a ghost ship? I think sometimes people talk about that.
I think that's an example that came up, but I don't think any of us picked Ghost Ship.
Yeah, the Ghost Ship, generally considered to be quite a bad movie. The opening scene thought to be relatively good. I don't remember which ones we picked. We'll have to go back and look because obviously we won't be able to repick those. But best scenes in terrible movies. All right, last pick for August, last potential topic for August is
7 Deadly Sins.
7 Deadly Sins. I like that. If we do end up doing that one for August, we got to bring the bog hag back to get biblical, because you know how much she likes to get biblical.
Yeah, we'll see if she can accidentally pick another Jesus allegory.
7 Deadly Sins.
Also, I believe this is a new addition to the wheel from our listener Heather, who sent us a big list.
Nice.
I'm sure as you can see, Brian, you can we have so many additions to the wheel from Heather and yourself this past week that I've added. You can no longer read anything that's on the wheel until it actually comes up. So
I like that. So the 7 Deadly Sins, we're talking about 7 specific vices: pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and of course, sloth. So sloth related horror, it may be in our future. Who knows?
There was that movie that came out that was PG-13 that was sloth in a sorority house or some shit or whatever.
I remember. I did not watch that, but I do remember that popping up on the interwebs.
Yeah. So hey, it's up for grabs if 7 Deadly Sins gets picked.
So once again, apocalyptic horror, best scenes in terrible movies, or 7 Deadly Sins. I could see 7 Deadly Sins pulling this out, but we shall see. Go over on the social medias and pick whichever one you want us to talk about for that first Monday in August. In the coming weeks, we'll talk about our picks. We'll talk about, if we're going to have a guest, or if our Patreon or our patrons over on the Patreon will be helping us out with a pick. But that'll be a lot of fun. Speaking of Patreon, Steven, why don't you tell the boils and ghouls at home what's going on over on that wacky website? Because there's some fun stuff happening.
Yeah, it's the old wackadoo website of patreon.com/Halloween is forever. You jump on there, you give us $5, and you get a whole bunch of stuff back, including a bunch of reviews and recos I've written up for all kinds of movies. You also get your extra vote. We're talking about spinning the wheel for the showdown. But if you're on the Patreon, you get an extra vote for that. So you really get to make your voice known. And you get an exclusive monthly podcast.
Sure do.
Yeah. I mentioned it at the top of the show. It's called 90s is Forever. That's where we're talking about some bad, dirty, awful, terrible 90s comedies.
Yeah.
They're not funny.
Rarely even a chuckle to be had. But they're fun to talk about.
Yeah, they're fun to talk about. And I think it's appropriate that we're talking Surf 2 on this one, because our next episode coming up for July is also surf themed. because we're talking about Meet the Deedles from 1998, starring one Paul Walker as a surfer turned national park ranger.
Now, this is a Paul Walker that is perhaps too young to be a pedophile, right?
Probably close. I mean, depends, because I mean, if you look at the age gap, when he was a pedophile, like he was 33 and his girlfriend was 16.
Right.
So then you just have to walk it back. And so whatever age he is in Meet the Deedles.
Yeah.
It's
which
probably
appears
like
to be like a teenager. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's a baby or a zygote.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Paul Walker, famously not great dead guy who we did go and make fun of a ton while we watched Steve made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies, which kicked off our first Patreon exclusive podcast series, which you can go back and listen to all those back episodes if you subscribe to the Patreon. Then I made Steve watch a bunch of weird ass right-wing Christian propaganda horror movies and sci-fi movies for 10 months. And now he's making me watch these not funny 90s comedy movies that usually have some sort of horror tint. So we're going to get into Paul Walker. I'm going to have some definite flashbacks to our first series as we talk about one of my least favorite performers in the history of the world, one Mr. Paulium Walker. Paul is short for Paulium, by the way, in case you're wondering. Or no, it's Paul. What's his real name? We looked that up at one point.
Polyamorous with children, Walker?
Perhaps. I don't know. I don't like him. I'm not a fan. I am, however, just to give you a little bit of update in my mindset as we go into Surf 2 here, I have been making my way through, or I plan to, and I'm early on going through all of the Final Destination movies. So I am currently in the background here watching. I'd only seen the first two. I'm rewatching. When we recorded the other night, I rewatched Final Destination, of course, the original. Now Final Destination 2. And I'm watching the guy who's trying to he's frying up fish sticks in a dry pan. It's pissing me off. I can't wait till he dies.
Great.
So
I don't think we've ever talked about this, but that is not a franchise that I like at all.
Not a fan. Never been a fan.
Yeah.
I know the newest one is receiving some good buzz. Now it's not that recent. When did it come out? I don't know, in the spring.
That's probably 2003 to 2000.
No, I'm talking about the new one.
Oh, the newest one. Yeah, that came out a couple months ago.
Yeah, did not watch it. Realized that I had not watched really. I don't think any of them since the second one. But I am. I'm going to go back and watch them because why not? A little bit of a blind spot for me. Got some Devon Sawa situation happening currently in my life. So, all right. Without further ado, let's get into the feature presentation for this evening. 1984's Surf 2: The End of the Trilogy. That is the full title. Spoiler alert, it is not a trilogy. There's only one movie, and it's Surf 2. There is no Surf 1. There is certainly no Surf 3. It is just Surf 2: The End of the Trilogy. Directed by Randall Badat. I don't know how else to say that. But this is a movie. There's some other films in this guy's repertoire, none of which I am particularly familiar with. Nope. However, he's only directed this one film. He's written some other films. He's got 6 writing credits, none of which I've seen. And this is his only directing credit. And I think he just completely, shot his wad with one movie, nailed it, and said, I don't need to do this anymore. I think I got the idea.
He didn't he wrote and directed this film, and then as far as IMDb goes, he didn't work again for 10 more years. And then he wrote a screenplay, and so it's
From what I understand, without doing a ton of super deep research, I do believe this movie was kind of in, production hell for quite a while.
Okay.
And it was changed quite a bit. It's a bizarre movie. Now, I will say, I think among, I guess you would call this a horror comedy, although it's not particularly horror. But there are certainly, genre beats, horror sci-fi type of thing. Definitely more of a madcap teen sex comedy type of thing.
Yeah.
Very self-aware. We talk quite a bit on the show when we talk about, So Bad It's Good or horror comedy type of things that really go one of two very different directions. One is, your Uninviteds of the world, which is one of my personal favorites, which is setting out to make a scary movie, right? And
it's attempting. Yep.
Yeah, through a variety of circumstances, low budgets, ineptitude, wacky performances, all those sorts of things. You get some of these classics that end up being very, very silly and very fun to watch and very tongue-in-cheek, but they are very earnest in their attempt to make a genre film. Then you have the other end of the spectrum. I'll use your Velocipaster or something like that as an example, right? Or what is the one we watched? Anne Frank.
Not Anne Frank. Helen Keller.
Helen Keller. Yes, sorry. Helen Keller, Werewolf Hunter or whatever, right? Which was just all jokes, all gags, right?
Yeah. Or a better example would be the Slashing.
Sure. Yeah.
That we watched that. We did the one episode on the one, but I've seen both movies and they both are setting out to be very silly and funny. They have jokes planned. It was written by comedy writers who made a horror movie, that's what this is. I don't know if Randall Batat or whatever it is. I don't know if he has like a history of writing comedy in his past.
Yeah.
Like if he was like wrote for the National Lampoon or something, or if he was just like the funny guy. Yeah. That was around, the South Side of LA or whatever. But, he obviously set out to make a funny movie because he hired a bunch of comedy actors.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is quite a cast. I will say, I'll call out a few of them. We won't go through everyone because it is quite a large cast, but we have, as the primary antagonist, we mentioned the great Eddie Deason, nerd to the stars. And he plays, you'll know him obviously from Grease and Grease 2 and
Critters
2 and
Laser Blast.
Yeah. The playing the weird nerdy kid in Polar Express, voicing the weird nerdy kid in Polar Express. You'll immediately know Eddie Deason. We also have as Chuck and Bob. Bob is Jeffrey Rogers, who you won't know, but Chuck, you'll know, is the one and only Eric Stoltz, who showed up in a million things, right? Including, small roles in things like Pulp Fiction and Fast Times of Ridgemont High, 16 Candles, Anaconda, Jerry Maguire. He's been in a million things. Maybe most famously known as the person who was originally cast as Marty McFly in Back to the Future, but then was replaced by Michael J. Fox several weeks into shooting.
It's a real toss-up between that, Rocky Dennis, and Brute Lance in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Rocky Dennis, of course, in Mask.
Yeah.
Mask? And then we have some other people that'll show up. You'll definitely recognize. Terry Kaiser plays one of the dads. He is you'll probably know him most famously as Bernie from titular Weekend at Bernie's. Linda Carriage plays Sparkle / Farinda Budnick, which is quite a character. She's in a bunch of genre films, including
I had a weird week, Brian, in that earlier this week I watched a film with her in it, not knowing that, like, it was before you even told me we were watching this film.
Yeah.
I was just having an insomnia day, and
Mm-hmm.
on Tubi, they have an Albert Pune movie, Vicious Lips, and she's in that.
Vicious Lips. What a title.
Yeah, it's about an old girl space glam rock band that gets stranded on another planet, and like there's a lot of things there's some visual stuff in that film that are very similar to this film, and it's mostly just that the women have great big hair and crazy makeup, and there's a punk zombie group in there as well. Like Linda Carriage isn't the star of the film, but she's like kind of featured in it. Like she's one of the background girls in the band. But I just thought that was very funny that I randomly on Tubi, I watched, this movie with her in it. And then, you sent me this movie to watch. And I was like, how am I watching 2 movies in a week of this person that has less than 10 movie credits, stopped working in the early 90s? Like, this person I know nothing about. And now I'm seeing her everywhere.
You've seen her whole portfolio. Yeah, I mean, you could go watch a couple more films and also see all of Lyle Waggoner's portfolio here. You could go check out Wizards of the Demon Sword. You could check out Gypsy Angels. I've seen him a couple times, but I just really like his name on here. He plays like the local police chief, and it's Chief Boyardee.
Hell yeah.
Which is just that's just funny. And we have Lindy Sue and Cindy Lou, which is going to be a tough thing to remember, which is kind of like their girlfriend, kind of love interests. Corinne Borer, you probably know. She plays what do we know her from? Phantom of the Megaplex. What else do we know her from? She's fairly recognizable, but I'm not sure.
Well, as related to 90s is Forever, even though we didn't do this Police Academy movie, she plays Laura in Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol, which I believe she was the Mahoney love interest of that film.
As is she in Revenge of the Nerds Part 4, Nerds in Love. So around that time, she was apparently a popular love interest. Any case,
also an episode of Diagnosis Murder.
Yeah, of course, as is everybody. We have a couple other really, I think, significant people to call out. Ruth Buzzy is randomly in this. She plays Chuck's mom, and then playing the character of Daddy-O, who I can only describe him as every like a kind of authority figure in this town. Like, he's the principal of the school. He's the band leader. I think he's like the president of the town council. Like, he just plays all of these types of roles. He's the mayor. Is of course the great Cleavon Little, who most people would know from Blazing Saddles. Played Bart on Blazing Saddles alongside Gene Wilder. So he's fantastic in this. Such a strange part and such a strange thing for him to show up in. All right. Anybody else you want to call out before we jump into this thing?
The deputy to Chef Boyardee is Inspector Underwear, played by Ron Palillo, who we've talked about previously because he is in he's at the beginning of Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives.
Yes. Yeah. Very. Deputy Underwear. That is an interesting combination. Those two. In 1984, as you expect, rampant. Ogling, sure, but also catcalling, sure. Homophobic, a lot of homophobic jokes, right? As you would expect.
Was there? I don't remember a lot of homophobic jokes in this movie.
I think it was specifically between Chief Boyardee and Deputy Underwear.
Oh, well, okay, yeah. There's one where Inspector Underwear accidentally stabs him up the butt with his billy club. So that's kind of like, I don't know if that's necessarily homophobic, but more of a ooh. Because
there's
like that's Chief Boyardee's like reaction to it. He's just like ooh.
Well, I think the idea is Chief Boyardee, like there's a relationship there, and he wants to kind of preserve that, because I know at some point later, when Deputy Underwear is like I don't know. Wants to assault a girl that they've arrested, and he's like making sure he doesn't do that, because, and he's kind of suggests, like, it seems like he's jealous. It's weird.
Yeah.
In any case,
and then I guess the very end of the movie is kind of questionable about the like intent. Like it's just cross-dress humor is at the end. So
yeah, you get quite a bit of that. In any case, legitimately, though, one of the best kind of goofball comedy horror movies. It has a lot of funny in it. We'll get into it. The story is almost just completely fucking nonsensical. You actually have at least in the version I saw, which I think is the director's cut, there's a text scroll at the beginning, like a Star Wars style text scroll that explains the entire plot. Like, just calls it out completely. And so, was that in the version you watched?
For some, I may have just been looking away for that moment, because but the version I watched did say it was the director's cut. But yeah, mine starts with a bunch of just beach bodies. I don't think I have a text scroll in mine.
Yeah, mine had, which I thought mine was director's cut. Maybe it's not, but there is a long text scroll at the beginning that explains the entire plot, and basically says, like, this nerdy guy, which is of course Menlo Schwartzer. He for some reason has a grudge against surfers. We don't know exactly why yet. We learn later. He has a grudge against surfers. He creates a fucked up cola called Buzz Cola that turns people into zombies, so he can quote unquote take over the coast. I don't know.
I think you didn't watch the director's cut.
Okay,
because the version I watched, and you can find this on the Internet Archive, is an hour 40, and I didn't know why any of the things were happening in the film until like the last third of the film, when Linda Carriage does her big exposition dump.
Sure.
So I didn't know any of it.
Yeah, it would be, I mean, the text scroll at the beginning is pretty useful because it does explain everything that's happening. And otherwise it could be quite confusing until things are literally spelled out for you later on. So this is not a movie you're watching for the story, for the plot beats, right? But I can see without that, it would be quite confusing. We just start out, we got some surfers who are getting abducted by, I don't know, some like little periscope thing pops up, like perhaps it's a submarine or something, but some surfers get abducted, one of which is Jocko Finley, who is related to it's the brother of one of the girls.
Well, no, it's both of the girls, because both of the girls are sisters.
Oh, are they sisters?
Yeah, they're the O'Finley sisters.
Oh, I completely missed that. Okay, so their brother Jocko is one of them that gets abducted. The O'Finley sisters have the hots for Chuck and Bob. That's like kind of their de facto surfer boyfriends, but all they care about is surfer shit. And I would go as far as to say, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, this is just the only way I can really truly describe it, is that Bob and Chuck are gay for surfing.
They are surf sexual is what they are.
Yeah, they only care about surfing. There's always, beautiful women throwing themselves at them, and they cannot stop talking about or doing surf things long enough to notice. Or maybe just notice briefly and then back to surf things.
Yeah, they notice just briefly. They are very interested in having beards around, I guess.
Yeah.
to cover up their wave, fetish.
Yeah.
But
wave fetish, sure.
Because like they do pick up the two girls on the boardwalk.
Yeah.
At one point.
Almost by accident.
Yeah. And then take them to a surf shack and then don't like do anything with them. Like they see the two girls get naked and they go, you're naked. And then go back to their conversation. Like
it's big Spicoli vibes they're giving off.
Yeah.
So they are very much doing that type of character. It's got, I wouldn't say it's straight up Airplane, but like there's just a lot of bits, a lot of gags, just really rapid fire in this movie. We have, Bob, Chuck, and the girls, Jocko, the whole crew. They also have a friend named Big Head, who is just a giant meathead who literally, like, he's the muscle of the group, right?
Yeah.
There's also Beaker. There's obviously we mentioned Menlo, but he's not really part of the group. He's, like I said, he's the antagonist.
He's the villain. Yeah.
Big Head is just this big meathead guy who literally eats through like wire fences for them and just like shoves cars out of the way. He's just the big brute meathead of the group.
Yeah. Big Head is one of my favorite character archetypes that we do not have as much anymore, but it's great for comedies.
Yeah.
And it's funny because this film came out in 1983, 1984, and you said it had like the a development hell type production.
Yeah.
So Big Head predates Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, he's very much an ogre type character. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a good guy.
But a good guy. Yeah. We have good ogre in this one, but that's exactly who this guy is. And he fucking rules. He's my favorite part of the movie.
He's so funny.
He is portrayed as having superhuman strength.
Yeah.
A superhuman appetite.
Mm-hmm.
He has the mental capacity of a door, which is awesome.
Well, they even say at one point, they're like, he has a 54 IQ. And he's like, yeah that's because I cheated.
Yeah, which is that fucking rules so hard. Yeah. And then he also has a catchphrase. Yeah. Which is so great for a giant simpleton character.
Yeah.
Because he just punches everything with a bow bow.
A bow bow. Yeah. Which is like, it's like I don't know. That's the thing you'd hear in like surf rock songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're like these SoCal surfers, right? I love that he loves how stupid he is.
Yeah. He knows he's stupid. He doesn't care. He knows he's kind of garbage and he doesn't care. Because like every scene at his house is him doing some white trash crazy shit in his front yard.
Cutting the roof off his mom's car with a chainsaw.
Yeah, throwing his brother like a sack of potatoes everywhere. He fucking, like, Big Head fucking rules as a character.
Also, Big Head, great name. Because I think of Ed Big Head, of course, from Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have that level of Big Head, and he's not a frog. But if you said he was part frog or something, like, I'd believe you. Right?
Yeah. If you said he was part toad, it's kind of believable with the way he's just a garbage disposal body.
Yeah. Later, we have quite a scene with him in an eating contest with a zombie. Anyway, zombie, we'll talk about it. I don't know if I feel comfortable calling them zombies, but that's what they call them. They're kind of I don't know, punk surfer creeps. Ghouls of sorts. Anyway,
creeps, ghouls of some. I want to talk about their aesthetic as well when we get to them. But
so this movie has so much nudity, so many boobs, so many butts, and you could tell they're just shoehorned in places.
Yeah,
like they're just peppered in. Like they were like, we got to hit a quota. So many boobs, so many butts. I mean, we literally get like these two guys, like these two brothers who are just like also comic relief type of thing. Like they're a less, they're more goofy. They don't really play much of a role in the movie. Frankly, they didn't need to be there, but we do see like one of them's like literal hairy asshole. I think at one point, like
it is
pretty intense.
It's way too close to the camera.
Yeah.
Like this movie has 3 just fat man asses in it.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of butts. They're indiscriminate about the butts. This is a gag environment here. Like they're driving down the beach, going surfing and listening to the radio, and the station they're listening to is the Mighty Dildo, sticking it to you as always. It's KDIL is the station, like, call sign. So that's the type of humor we're getting here. A lot of really genuinely funny bits. One of them, the Chief Boyardee, after I forget what happens, a thing happens, and he's like, everyone's standing around. The surfers get abducted the night before, and they're like, until we figure out what happens, we got to keep all the kids at the school over the weekend. And they're closing the beach, which is an insane
Gotta close
thing.
the beach.
Yeah. And he's like announcing everything, the chief, and then he's reading his notes, and he's like, clear the area. Oh yeah, clear the area. He wrote that in his notes to say. There's also so much surf footage. I will say that was something I find myself fast forwarding through quite a bit, is a lot of just like candid surf footage of just randos unrelated to the movie surfing, and also just like standing around the beach, like adjusting their junk and stuff. Like there's just a lot of weird surfing stock footage that is clearly just there to fill in gaps.
Yeah, we talked about this on another episode. Oh, we talked about this on 90s is Forever when we were talking about how Police Academy 7 has just a bunch of cutaway garbage.
Yeah.
That is just there to fill the space so it makes sense in editing. So you can go from one scene to another.
Yeah.
This one, instead of filming nonsense, because every scene basically has Chuck and Bob in it. Yeah. So they just have to fill a space to get Chuck and Bob to it. It's kind of like a play thing. Where like, we have to usher Chuck and Bob back behind the curtain so we can bring out the new set. But in that meantime, here's some surfers.
Here's some surfing. Here's some just like regular surfing. A lot of needle drops in this movie. And for being like a low budget movie, there's a lot of big time songs. They spent a lot of money on the soundtrack. Yeah. I didn't write down all the songs, but there's multiple Beach Boys songs, which
all the popular ones too.
Can't be
like
cheap,
all the ones that
right?
aren't Kokomo.
Yeah, Surfing USA and all that stuff, like stuff that you would imagine is not cheap, but maybe it is. I don't know. Great scene, maybe my favorite scene. There's a sick ass, boardwalk arcade that they're hanging out in, and goofiness is happening. And Mexican Radio, which I love that song, is on in the background. I'm like, this is just a great scene, and I love that they picked that song in the background.
Yeah, Mexican Radio's on in the background. There's a couple Oingo Boingo songs.
Oh, yeah. I actually read that there was original because Oingo Boingo wrote some original songs for this movie because they were like just a local unknown band at the time. And they ended up not making it in or something. And they're just like lost tracks, but it's pretty crazy.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like if at that time Oingo Boingo wasn't as big and they just wrote, like they gave, a couple of songs that we know and then wrote some other songs, but then just got replaced by Beach Boy songs. Yeah. Because obviously, Get Around and Surfing USA are a lot
more recognizable, especially for a surf movie, right?
Yeah. And then also they just have Dick Dale in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, he just randomly shows up.
He's just in doing a concert in the movie. And it's like, how the fuck did they get away with this? Because this is not something you could do for a low budget comedy anymore ever. No. I just don't even know how they got away with it in the 80s.
Yeah, I have no idea. Dick Dale like always showed up, I feel like, in those Frankie Avalon, Annette Funicello movies, surf right. Teen surf movies of like the 60s. And I do remember him showing up in Aloha Scooby-Doo from 2005, the animated film. In any case, a lot of great needle drops. when they're all hanging out at the arcade, we get introduced to a couple of people. One, this group of weird, they kind of have a bit of a David Bowie makeup kind of vibe, like a Kiss David Bowie thing, but they're wearing like wetsuits, like all the same kind of like black and red wetsuits.
Yeah.
They have like the ghoul kind of makeup on, the kind of punk hair, and they just act, I don't know, zombie-ish. Yeah. They kind of act like they don't have their faculties about them. And one of the things that, there's a small group of them walking around, and one of the things that they are kind of known for is they drink Buzz Cola, which is a local brand that is, Chuck and Bob specifically call out as like, they're not like, they wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole kind of thing. Their dads actually sell or are responsible for like the promotion in some capacity of Buzz Cola, which we learn a little bit more why here in a bit. But like their dads actually kind of, I guess, I don't know, encourage them not to drink it.
Yeah.
But encourage everybody else to drink it.
Yeah. It feels like a small startup operation.
Yeah.
So like the two dads got in early, and I don't know if it's ever really explained how they got into this. Maybe it was just a thing where like they lost their jobs at the oil refinery, but the oil refinery turned key over to a Buzz Cola bottling plant, and they said, we'll get on the bottom floor here and invest in this or whatever. I don't know. It's never really explained. They still like,
I get the feeling they still work at the oil refinery, and then they kind of like supply Menlo, who ultimately invented like the formula for Buzz Cola, with the, maybe quote unquote secret ingredient for Buzz Cola. Cause we early on see them like they're at the oil refinery, and Menlo's zombies, which we learn pretty quickly, they're showing up, to deliver or to pick up, I forget, Buzz Cola. So I feel like the dads are responsible for like the production of it in some capacity. Menlo is obviously just in it for revenge, and they're in it for financial gain. But then also we get a shot back to later, pretty quick after this, to like Menlo's hideout where he's like, he got his evil lab and everything. And they're like forcing Buzz Cola down. It's Jocko and some other kids like throat, and that turns them into the zombies as well. So obviously drinking Buzz Cola turns you into these mind controlled zombie punk surfer ghouls or whatever.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk about like their aesthetic for a little bit more, because I was watching it and I didn't click at like when this year was, but I was like, oh, these are the fucking villains from Class of Nukem High.
Oh yeah.
But then I looked and I was like, oh wait, this movie predates Nukem High by fucking 3 years. So, which made me start thinking, where does this aesthetic come from? Because it's also question. The aesthetic that's in Vicious Lips.
Yeah.
But that movie came out after this. And so like, are they taking off Kiss, or are they taking off the Misfits really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause they have a little bit of like a devil lock almost looking hairstyle.
Yeah. I think it's especially Jocko, but it's like at one point when Jocko's out on the surf attacking people.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, here comes Doyle.
Yeah. He definitely has a Doyle, a young Glenn Danzig vibe to him. I don't know. It's an interesting aesthetic because they have like the white kind of face paint, makeup, and I don't know. But you get the you do get this as like a trope moving forward. That's a great question. I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, do a little digging to figure out where this originated. I'd be blown away if it originated here, but it is like a very like atypical like early 80s punk aesthetic. You know what I mean? But then they just happen to have wetsuits on. But then when they're at school, they're dressed, pretty much the same way because they're still going to school, but they're also like indestructible when they're zombies. Like they're in science class and one of them's like chugging acid, and it's just like not hurting them. They're just like, they're like indestructible. They can eat anything, drink anything, whatever, but they're like, brainless zombies. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird, because they even have an autopsy scene where they explain like their whole physiognomy, physiology,
physiognomy. Yeah, Buzzcola's physiognomy. Yeah, they do have that scene later where the science teacher goes and dissects one of them, and we learn the science teacher is like this weird creep, and it's actually a really fun scene.
The only other thing I could think of that predates this movie that might be it might be taking from would be the Warriors. The Warriors has some of that aesthetic as well, with like the
with
makeup,
the eye black around them too, makes it look like they have the sunken eyes. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, especially the Baseball Furies, but I think some of the other ones have like glam makeup. Maybe the Lizzies have some glam makeup. And the Riffs, but yeah.
We also get introduced to the new girl, who she's very, Olivia Newton-John kind of look to her. Her name's Sparkle, which what a name. Which when you were describing the movie you saw with her in it, the other movie, it definitely sounded like what's that the bands, it's the made up girl band, something in the Gemstones. What is it called?
Oh, Gem and the Holograms.
Gem and the Holograms. Yeah, it sounds very Gem and the Holograms, which she's got a similar aesthetic here. Anyway, all the guys are like, gooning on Sparkle, but we learn quickly that Sparkle is in cahoots with the with Menlo and the zombies. We learn that Menlo has some sort of control over her. He's like blackmailing her to like make her pretty, essentially, but we don't know a whole lot about it yet. One scene that kind of, I think, demonstrates too that this isn't just your normal dumb 80s, schlocky horror comedy. They do this scene and Ruth Buzzy's in it. I mean, it's the two sets of parents and Bob and Chuck doing this mirrored scene. They actually do it twice, two different scenes where they're in their own home, but it's like mirrored sets. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty impressive. It's like them talking to the dads about like, they're the guys who are getting the given the punks, the Buzz Cola, and they're like kind of counting their money, and the wives are giving them a hard time about it. And the kids are talking about how they're going surfing. They got to go to like the public beach because the beach they normally go to shut down. And I don't know, it just seemed so wildly unnecessary, but really well executed. Yeah.
I half wonder if like this was the writer director injecting some sort of messaging into his film. Mm-hmm. Because you have these two sets of families that are basically the exact same thing. They're in the suburbs of SoCal, California, and they are having the exact same conversation at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if he's just like making some kind of comment on the culture of suburban living. Yeah. Of how like everybody is just the same inside their houses. Because it's a neat setup. That has like obviously some sort of artistic, merit to it have, and it doesn't occur anywhere else except for in their homes.
Right.
So I'm wondering if he was trying to set something else up with that, because it is also kind of funny too.
Yeah, and I think that is true, because Chuck and Bob, I will say, for being the silly surfer guys, like if you think of like Spicoli and like his friends from Fast Times, they're a little bit more like anti-establishment. Like, we're just like surfer bums, and like, he's like, you should get a job, and he's like, why do I need a job? He's like, I just need like waves and some good bud and like, whatever. Mm-hmm. Chuck and Bob are like kind of like elitist douchebags. Like they're like really I don't know, when they're like talking about how like they go and are like looking down at everyone on the public beach. He's like, look at these fucking animals. We can't surf here, you know, because they're used to surfing on like the private beach. Or like, are surfers usually elitist douchebags like that? Like, I don't know. It just.
I think there is some of that. Like, there's definitely some culture of that. Like, especially if we're to believe, you know, Chuck and Bob are like they're supposed to be like the top best surfers in the school.
Sure.
So yeah, there's definitely like this, you know, elitist culture of like, oh, I would never surf where everybody else surfs.
Yeah.
You know, this is my beach down here. So like, yeah, definitely something that developed in the 80s. And like, cause it's worth noting, like there are a couple surfers in this film, cause I was just like, I don't know much about surf culture. So I was just looking at the cast list. I was like, are any of these, you know, background surfers? Because there is like a lot of good surfing action. It's like, are any of these background surfers like famous? And some of the names, like I clicked on 2 or 3 names on IMDb, and a bunch of them popped up on that that documentary that came out in 2001, Dogtown and the Z Boys. Yeah. So like, yeah, they were all part of that. You know, they were definitely good enough to be part of that culture, to be remembered in that film. Yeah. And, you know, speaking of Spicoli, like that film was produced by Sean Penn. So
yeah, big Kahuna Joe and Hang Ten Jerry and all those guys. Right?
Billy Nine Toes.
Billy. So like I said, Chuck and Bob, like they're kind of loyal to the sisters, but they're not. They kind of don't care if they're there or not. So that's like, I guess part of the joke is like they're really into them and they don't really care if they're there or not. And they do, you know, they're kind of getting frustrated by having to be at the public beach, and then, you know, Menlo and Sparkle are trying to like ambush them to make them drink Buzz Cola. And they're just like, this is lame. Let's find some chicks. And they just start following these two girls. And there is a pretty funny scene where he's like, are you available for dating? And they like have this conversation on the pier, ultimately ending up with them in, you know, hanging out in the lifeguard stand. And like I said, them just like nerding out about surfing so much so that like the girls are literally like stripping naked and trying to get their attention. And they're just like, whoa, you guys are naked. Cool. And then they go back to surf stuff. I guess Eric Stoltz, I read this as well, is that Eric Stoltz had never been drunk before. And the director like insisted on him getting drunk for that scene, because they're like supposed to be drinking in the lifeguard stand. Yeah. And he was just like hammered and like sick the rest of the day after shooting this, which is wild because he looks like he's about 12. But
yeah, right.
But the sisters, Cindy Lou and Lindy Sue, are pissed that they're up there with these other girls. So they rat them to the cops, which is, you know, Chief Boyardee and what's his name?
Inspector Underwear.
Inspector Underwear is funny. And they just completely surround the lifeguard stand and like, you know, come out with your hands up type of thing. And then just open fire on the lifeguard stand with like M16s and shit. And like one of the SWAT team like throws a grenade in the lifeguard stand. And of course they catch it. And they're like, whoa, grenade, sick. You know what I mean? And luckily it's a Looney Tunes explosion, because they all just stumble out with like, you know, little like soot on their face. Like that's what happens when you get blown up in cartoons.
Yeah. Yeah. It just blows up the entire lifeguard. Like you can see the entire lifeguard stand explode and fall over, and that there's nobody in it. But then, you know, everybody inside is safe. So it's fine.
Yeah. It's like completely demolished, flattened, but they don't know where Jocko is. They don't realize he's been turned into a punk zombie or whatever. He comes home and he's all dicked up from the Buzz Cola, and the parents are like, you know, freaking out and everything. Then we learn that Menlo is blackmailing Sparkle. Essentially, she was like the nerdiest girl in school and like the only girl that would talk to him. And he has this like machine that is essentially like
It's a
It's almost
pelican case he jams her head into.
Yeah, it's a toaster. It looks like a big toaster that just you put it like wrapped around her head, and it just makes you attractive. And he's got several of these, but that's what he does to her, and that makes her attractive. There's also like a long classroom frog racing scene, and then like one of the zombies eats a frog. There's just a lot of filler type of scenes like that where you're just like,
yeah,
this could go anywhere in the movie. You could just plop this anywhere, but
yeah.
it serves as like those transitional scenes, like he's.
Yeah, which is hard. It's hard to tell what's the difference between, because maybe our scenes are out of order as well compared director's cut to your cut.
Could be, yeah.
But this is also why I'm still just like totally lost in this film, because like there's nothing makes sense. Nothing's going on. Like
nothing's happening.
I only get that, okay, the Buzz Cola makes the zombies. That's the only plot point I have at this point.
Well, this next scene really should have pushed the plot forward, but it really didn't. Is for some reason something happens. I don't know if it's because they're stuck at the school over the weekend or whatever, but they decide to just get all the kids into this it's like a movie theater. It's like an auditorium to show them a surf film. So they're just all in there to watch a surf film. And halfway through the surf film, Menlo and Sparkle come walking in, like dressed to the nines. And Menlo's like showing off like, oh yeah, she's with me, guys. Ha ha ha. Someone brought some dog shit and they pull the flaming bag of dog shit trick on him, and he stomps it out right there in the middle of the auditorium. And then the scene, the film cuts, and we get I guess it's a, silhouette of two of the zombies are eating the film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where we're at with that.
like Sparkle does try. Yeah, Sparkle does try to warn Chuck and Bob about that there's something going on. But she just isn't able to because like Menlo is sitting right next to her and keeps stopping her.
And that's what I meant when that should have moved things forward, but she's not really clear and never gets the point across that like, hey, Menlo's trying to, he's rigging the contest or whatever, the surf contest, the big surf contest.
He's rigging the big surf contest and he's making zombies and. Yeah, I guess, sure. But like, what does that do if he wins the surf? It doesn't like, that's the other thing is like, what does it do if he wins the surf contest with the zombies?
Well, it humiliates the surfers because all they care about is surfing. So now he's won. Also, it's the Buzz Cola like international surf competition or whatever. So it like spreading the word about Buzz Cola, I guess. I don't know.
It's all just a PR stunt. Like every other movie that's kind of in this vein is like, oh, we have to win the race to save the community center, or we have to, we have to win the breakdance contest or whatever it is. But there's no, I don't know. It feels like there's no stakes on either end. Like,
no, not particularly. They just both really want to win. The surfers want to win because they like surfing, and Menlo wants his guys to win to, I guess, humiliate the surfers. I don't know, make them sad.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what it is. Like a lot of it is just like your petty, like the surfers played a trick on him and, did something to him. And then now he wants to get back at them with his own surf zombies. But then after that, like what happens after that? Are you just done? Do you just quit? Like,
are you feeling good?
I've got my revenge now. Bitchin'.
We'll talk about the end scene here because there's a couple of really funny things with where it ends up. But we did talk about Big Head chainsawing the roof off his mom's car for some reason. Again, complete non sequitur scene. Just kind of could have ended up anywhere. Since the beach is closed, the parents and the cops are going to throw this like party for the, I guess that's going to be like before the surf competition, I guess. I'm not sure. The Specials seem to be playing there as well. I'm not sure if that was actually them, but a band that is a reasonable facsimile of the Specials are playing there. Yeah, those two guys who we saw, they're assholes. get tit punched. I don't know. That's about all there is to that scene. They're just always ogling girls, and they get punched with boobs, I think, if I remember correctly.
I don't think I had that scene. Huh.
Yeah, one of them gets punched by a girl's boobs, and I didn't write down all the details, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but there's a tit punching scene. So Jacko, who's a zombie at this point, and Big Head have what I can only describe as an old-fashioned Diddy style freak off. But they do it by eating wild shit. So they're just sitting there, and the zombies are sitting there. You know, one thing, like one of the guys who we saw as hairy asshole is eating like a big sandwich, and we see like a seagull take a giant shit on it, and then he just keeps eating it. So like there's a lot of gross out stuff like that. But then there's just like one of the zombies is sitting there and just like picks up a handful of seaweed that's on the beach and just like starts eating it. And Big Head's like takes that as a challenge and starts eating seaweed. And then they just are eating grosser and grosser stuff off the beach to the point where, you know, one of them just picks up a fish, just like a dead fish off the beach, and takes a bite of it. And then Big Head does it. And then finally, the thing that does him in, that he can't stomach, is he will not drink Buzz Cola, because the zombie starts chugging Buzz Cola, and you know, Chuck and Bob are like, you know, you got to have your limits or whatever, like kind of consoling him because he lost the freak off because he wouldn't drink Buzz Cola.
Which it's a weird progression in this scene, because they're eating a bunch of shit just like off the sand and putting it in their mouths. And like at one point, one of the zombie Jocko starts eating a fucking tire iron. And and
also this is all in total silence, by the way.
Yeah, it's mostly in total silence. Like it's a stare down.
Yeah.
And then Big Head eats a fucking rock. But then they switch to fish, and it's like, that's not an escalation, actually.
Yeah,
fish
I would eat an old
food.
Dead fish before I would eat a rock. You know.
Yeah, you guys are eating like literal like debris and you know, like metal now.
Just garbage.
Fish ain't it. Yeah,
just stuff that washed up on the shore. The punk creeps start going wild. Obviously, they're pretty pumped that he won. I guess the girls end up getting sucked into Menlo's like submarine that's right off the shore. And then the surfers bring one of the zombies to their science teacher's house, which I forget his name, but he's
Beaker.
Beaker, Mr. Beaker. He's a pretty funny character. It turns out he's like a complete psycho and has like this whole like lab situation like set up right in his like little swanky 70s, you know, bachelor pad, and he just bisects just one of the zombies while he's still alive. And he's like, is he dead? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And he just cuts him down the middle, and he's like, and he's like, I thought you said he was dead. And he's like, oh well. And just all the shit starts coming out like he's a shark. You have like all these jokes, like he's got like a carburetor and a license plate and like Jimmy Hoffa's shirt or something like that.
Yeah,
so
they're doing Jaws, you know.
Yeah.
His guts just dumps all the Jaws stuff. I was trying to figure out this actor. His name is Peter Isaacson, and I was like, he seems very familiar.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah, but
I can't like pinpoint any of the things that I would have seen him in. He was in the film The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh from 1979.
Okay.
Possible that I saw him there. But yeah, I just can't pinpoint him. But he also has a very Dan Aykroyd affect to him.
Sure. Yes, the way he talks, got that Chicago-ish type of accent. Earthbound, Eat My Dust. Yeah, none of this stuff. Nick, a legend in his own mind. Yeah, I don't know. I don't recognize any of these things he's in. besides The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, which I don't know that movie very well at all. Under the Rainbow. It's a Chevy Chase movie. Carrie Fisher and Chevy Chase from 1981. I don't know. Yeah, I don't recognize it. Grand Theft Auto. He's in. It's 1977. Directed by and apparently starring Ron Howard, a very young Ron Howard.
Fish Save Pittsburgh is a disco basketball movie from the late 70s back. We used to have a basketball team. We had an ABA team, so they thought it would be popular to make a disco basketball game movie.
Yeah, I always get that and Blood-Sucking Pharaohs of Pittsburgh mixed up.
Sure.
Anyway, so we learn like Buzz Cola, has like untreated chemical waste from the petroleum refinery going into it apparently, and that's what's ultimately turning them into crazy creep zombies. And they do eventually figure out that it's their dads, Chuck and Bob, and that Menlo is the one that has to like reverse the process, I guess. I think this is what the teacher ultimately figures out. Sparkle ends up explaining Menlo's whole scheme, and it's revealed that she's Florinda Budnick, and she's being blackmailed. Otherwise he's not going to make her hot anymore with his head toaster or whatever. The teacher goes. Science teacher takes all his findings to the parents. Daddy-O and the dads and all them, and they're like drunk and partying at some bar, and they don't believe him because Menlo is like under the table and he swaps out the bad cola for good cola, and they all try it and it's just regular cola, and they're like, oh, you're full of shit kind of thing. And she's literally just under the table like pouring real cola into the Buzz Cola bottle. But ultimately this leads to Buzz Cola being able to sponsor the big surf competition. That's kind of the big win for them. They're going to get all this publicity because it's going to be the Buzz Cola Surf International competition, whatever. So Chuck and Bob are competing against the girls are zombie punks at this point as well.
They've been turned.
One of the dads who's hammering the dads are just hammering Miller High Lifes, by the way. They're just getting rip-roaring drunk. He has a quote that says, whenever he says something like, my dad, says something about the dads, being assholes or whatever, he's like, I'm going to beat that kid like I don't know him. It's a good line. So we see extended surfing, a lot of slapstick fighting on surfboards and shit like that. Bob and Chuck end up winning, as you might expect, the surf competition, and expose their dads. In their they get their like speech at the end when they win, but everyone is like then quickly abducted by all the zombie punks and taken down to Menlo's sub. And he forces the dads to drink Buzz Cola. And then they just do silly faces and voices for like 45 seconds straight. They're just like, just doing all these crazy voices and stuff. It's pretty fantastic. They explain that Menlo, what was the inciting incident that made Menlo hate the surfers is that surfers, not necessarily Bob and Chuck. In fact, I don't believe it was Bob and Chuck. Maybe it was, but surfers spiked his drink at some point with a sex change hormone. And he's like, when he says that, he pulls off his shirt and he just has a bikini top underneath, which suggests that that's what happens when your drink gets spiked with a sex change hormone. First of all, where did somebody get a sex change hormone? Also, this is obviously not how any of this works, but it's funny that he just takes off his shirt. He's like, this is why I need to get back at them, is they turned me into like a half woman or whatever, but all that means
Gave me
is he
titties.
but he doesn't even have titties. He just has a bikini top on under a shirt.
Yeah, it's just Eddie Deason. He's flat chested. Like,
yeah.
He's one of the least physically defined people ever. Like he's just
so bizarre.
skinny. It sounds like they just like made him take like estrogen, and he thought he grew titties from it, but he didn't.
No, he just has been wearing a bikini top. Essentially.
The surfers tried to trans me.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like.
And now I make them drink motor oil.
Yeah. Then Big Head just starts busting up the place, which is how the movie ends. It's just Big Head just goes, fuck this, and just starts wrecking the place. And just chaos erupts at this point. Like the sun explodes and the sub explodes. The sun explodes. That's the end of the movie. The sub explodes and they all just like come ashore in like life rafts and stuff. And like Big Head is dragging them all in like a long like train of like life rafts from the exploded sub. And Menlo is ultimately taken away in a straitjacket by the cops. And then the dads come in and they've got the beauty toasters on their heads and they reveal them to the moms. And you think like, oh, they're going to be like handsome studs now, or something like that. So the moms are like all eager to see them and they take them off and they're just have like a little bit of makeup on and are wearing dresses. So now they're pretty ladies, but they still have like their facial hair and like,
still got mustaches
wigs on,
Well, the wigs don't come in till a little bit later, like the next scene or whatever, because when they first take the pelican cases off their heads, it's just that they have like geisha makeup almost.
On.
And like, but then it's revealed later that like, oh, they're still suffering the effects.
Sure.
And now they're dressing, full on in dresses and have wigs on and have pearl necklaces at the beach.
Yeah.
Like
in the middle of the day, because it's a fast forward to now everyone's getting along, including Menlo and Sparkle. Yeah. And the funniest thing that I read about this is Eddie Deason, because I was dying at this, is Eddie Deason is wearing a cap that has this super long brim. Like it's just a little cap that probably has at least a foot long brim on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just brought that to the set and wore it for the scene. And he like swings around like bunks people in the head with the super long brim on the hat. And it was just such a Pee Wee Herman thing to do. He just brought that. Just brought that to the set. Like that was his own personal super long brimmed hat that he brought. But for some reason, everyone's getting along at this point. Ruth Buzzy is, smashing food in like, I don't know if they're like smashing food in each other's faces and
just a giant mayonnaise sandwich.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Menlo's large brim hat was cracking me up. And now, cut to the dads and they're like, they're owning it. They have the wigs on now and the whole thing. They're full, fully women now, I guess. I don't know. And the hairy asshole twins are like aggressively pursuing them and they're just running after them. Just like we're going to go, have our way with these hairy women.
Huh. See, that's not in the director's cut.
Really?
Yeah, no,
because that's how it ends up is them running down the beach, the dads, the hairy asshole twins chasing them, and the credits run.
No, mine ends with Terry Kaiser, mocking the two dads, taking pictures of them, as their women, and then they just kind of blow him off. They're just like, we would never, like, huh. How dare you talk to us that way? We would never. And then they walk off and then there's a big group all gathered together. Yeah. And they're learning surf terms. And so it's like I think it's it's Chief Boyardee, Big Head, and Beaker they're all teaching like a new group of surfers all the lingo. And so they're like, they're going like gnarly. And then the crowd responds. They're like gnarly. And then Big Head's like, bow, bow.
That's better.
And everybody says bow, bow. And then they keep doing new terms. And then Big Head interjects with more bow, bow. Like he just, it's silly.
That's a better ending than what I got, which is, the hairy asshole twins just chasing the dads down the beach. I would have liked to have got a final Big Head scene.
Yeah, those two only appear in just the public beach scene for me. I don't think they appear, like, I don't see a tit punch scene, and I don't see they're not at the very end either, trying to assault the dads.
Yeah. I got a little bit more of the hairy asshole twins, but that's it. That is Surf 2. A modern masterpiece, a summer classic, as far as I'm concerned.
It was very funny. It's, I don't know what, I think it probably needs a third edit.
Probably
to take the director's cut, but you have to, I think it really does need that fucking text scroll that you get. Yeah, because I was lost for the most of this movie. I was just accepting that things was happening. I'm like, it's a punishment film. You know, of course it's going to be fucking stupid. And it's
things
just
happening.
It's just a bunch of bits leading to other bits. The only thing that, keeps it going is that like some of the bits are funny. So
it's it adds a lot. It just completely explains the entire movie, but it's I think it sets you up to, like I said, understand some of the key points that are otherwise pretty flimsy. Flimsy.
Yeah. Okay. I want to jump back to like pretty early in the film.
Okay.
We didn't talk about it, but this was my favorite part of the movie, and it made me laugh so fucking hard.
Okay.
And it's just because it surprised me.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's a scene early on when they're all at the arcade together. And this is when Big Head is talking about his fucking low IQ score that he's proud about.
Yeah.
And then he climbs into an arcade cabinet that's like a racer.
Yes.
You know, I'm trying to think of something that would be similar. Like
Racing USA kind of thing or something. Yeah, well, like that one you stand up, but one of the ones you sit down in.
Yeah, like a sit down Cruising USA, or like I know there's like Mario Kart ones out there, or like, Hydro Thunder.
Yeah.
But this one is like an old school one, and it's just called Ambulance. And he somehow is so stupid that he gets it to actually turn on and then drive around like a golf cart.
Yeah.
Like he just
around
drives
the arcade.
Yeah, he drives it through the arcade. But what killed me was there's a follow-up scene where Chuck and Bob are having sex with the sisters inside of the Volkswagen Bug that they own. And it's pretty good because like the shocks are just really going to town on it. And then the joke in the scene is that the sisters have once again been confused and are now having sex with the wrong guy.
Oh yeah, that's an ongoing bit throughout the movie. Is like they'll be posing for a picture and then they'll realize they're with the wrong one or whatever.
Yeah, but the way the scene ends is out of nowhere. Is Big Head in the ambulance arcade machine drives past the Volkswagen Bug bouncing up and down, and he goes bow wow, and I'm like, dude, that's the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen, and I don't know why.
I don't think I saw that one. I don't think I got the Yeah, I don't remember getting that. I might have been taking a note, not paying attention or something, but
maybe. But it's just because it is so funny, and it's just a funny callback out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's still driving around in the arcade machine.
Yeah,
like why and how.
And then he hits the catchphrase.
You got to.
Yeah, so I was like that. That's when I was like really in for the film. Like it was kind of being silly and whatever, but I was like, yeah, we have an ogre character with a catchphrase, and that fucking rules.
Yeah, it's a treat. It's a treat. Put it on your summer watch list. It's out there. It's available. I know I watched it on YouTube, but it's streaming plenty of places. And you said it was on Internet Archive for free as well.
Yeah, the director's cut is on Internet Archive. It's on YouTube for regular, and then there should just be a third cut that brings everything together.
The super cut, the big head super cut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More Bao Bao. The Bao Bao cut.
More the Bao Bao cut. Yeah. All right. Any other final thoughts on Surf 2 before we wrap this thing up?
Oh, there was a line that was just very funny because it has a different meaning today. Is the Chuck and Bob and Sparkle are, escaping from that party, and then they've rolled up one of the zombies on the hood of the Cadillac, and it's pressed up. It's pressed up against the windscreen, and I believe like Sparkle asked, is he dead? And I forget who it was, it was Chuck or Bob, but one of them says, "Oh, he's worse than dead. He's been canceled."
I know. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, I made a mental note of that. Like, that's a weird turn of phrase.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like what would that mean in the 80s? Because it means something different today. But yeah,
sure.
Very, very funny. And then just the whole subplot, there was a mention of like they're turning teens into gas guzzling junkies. And I was just like, yeah, that's what happened to everybody of that generation. They got turned into fucking gas guzzling suburban junkies.
Yeah. An absolute treat, you guys. And just all I'm saying is remember next time when it's time for punishment, how kind and how just I was in this circumstance. Because the movie I was going to give you was not this. And I might still. I'm going to hold it in the back pocket. But it's a severely uncomfortable puppet movie. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that eventually. In any case, remember, guys, this week, go on make sure you check out on the social medias because we are going to have on Instagram and on where else is it on
Instagram, Threads, and then we have a special Discord that you can jump on to vote on that, and then if you're a patron, you get an extra vote. Yep.
To vote on what our August Showdown topic is going to be. Remember, the choices are apocalyptic horror, best scenes in terrible movies, and 7 deadly sins. And then if you've got suggestions for movies associated with any of those topics, please shoot them our way. We always appreciate those. Or even just movies you want us to cover on a minisode, perhaps between now and then. We're always open to suggestions, especially if there's nothing, on the horizon that's coming out or anything like that. Have we, because I'm going to, as I mentioned, I'll be on vacation next week, so I won't be on next week's episode. Do you have any announcements on next week's episode yet?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Join me and Bigfoot Benjamin next week.
Oh, Bigfoot Ben.
As we'll be talking about a film.
Big Clown Ben.
Big Clown Ben. But no,
Top Ben.
It's definitely Bigfoot Ben for this episode.
All right.
We'll be talking about a film that recently came out called Found Footage: The Making of the Patterson Film. Which I believe this is also going to be more in the comedy realm, but I think it's very, just apropos to our guest. And, hey, cryptids are still creepy, even if they're not in a horror movie. So,
So join next week. Look forward to Steve, as well as our old pal, Bigfoot Ben, a.k.a. Big Top Ben, a.k.a. Big Ween Ben.
Big Ween Ben.
For next week's minisode. All right. Any final thoughts? Anything else we need to do before we wrap this thing up?
Nope. That's it for this one.
All right. Go watch Surf 2. And you're welcome. All right. For the Halloween's Forever crew, I'm Brian.
I'm Steve.
Whoa. See you later, dudes. Gnarly, bro.
Oh, boy.
Oh.